The story of Jerry and the dog. What I'm about to tell you has something to do with how sometimes it's necessary to go a very long distance out of the way in order to come back a short distance correctly. Maybe I only think it has something to do with that, but it's why I went to the zoo and why I walked northerly rather, until I came here. Now, the dog I think I told you is a black monster of a beast, an oversized head, tiny ears, and eyes, bloodshot, infected maybe, and a body where you can see the ribs right through the skin. Now the dog is black, all black, all black except for the bloodshot eyes and, oh yes, an open sore on its right forepaw. That's red too. Now, the poor monster, and I do believe it's an old dog, it's certainly a misused one, almost always has an erection of sorts. That's red too. And, what else? Oh yes, there's a gray, yellow, white color whenever he bares his fangs, like this, which is what he did the first time he saw me, the day I moved in. Now, I worried about this dog from the very beginning. You see, animals don't take to me like St. Francis had birds hanging off him all the time. What I mean to say is, animals are indifferent to me, like people, most of the time. But this dog wasn't indifferent. From the very beginning, he'd snarl at me and go at one of my legs. Not like he was rabid, you know, he was sort of a stumbly dog. But he wasn't half-assed either. It was a good stumbly run, but I always kicked free and got upstairs. When I think about it, I don't understand how the other roomers managed it. But, you know what I think? I think it only had to do with me. Cozy? So anyway, this went on for over a week, whenever I came in. But never when I went out. That's funny. Or rather, it was funny. I could pack up and live in the streets for all the dog cared. Well, I decided to think about the dog one day after I'd bolted up the stairs, and I decided first, I'll kill the dog with kindness. And if that doesn't work, I'll just kill him. Don't react, Peter. Just listen. So, the next day I went out and I bought a bag of hamburger. Medium rare, no ketchup, no onions. And on the way home, I threw away the rolls and kept just the meat. When I got to the rooming house, the dog was waiting for me. I half opened the door that led into the entrance hall, and there he was, waiting. I entered very cautiously. I had the hamburger, you remember? I reached in the bag and I placed the meat about 12 feet from where the dog was snarling at me, like so. He snarled, stopped snarling, sniffed, moved slowly, then faster towards the meat. When he got to it, he looked at me. I smiled, but tentatively, you understand. Then he looked back down at the meat and tore into it like this. It was as if he had never eaten anything in his life before except garbage, which very well may have been the truth. I don't think the landlady ever eats anything but garbage. Well, after he finished the meat, the hamburger, he tried to eat the paper too, making sounds in his throat like a woman. And when he finished, he sat down and he smiled. I think he smiled. I know cats do. It was a very gratifying few moments. And then, bam, he snarled and made for me again. But he didn't get me that time either. When I got up to my room, I decided to think about the dog again. To be truthful, I was offended, and I was damn mad too. It had been 6 perfectly good hamburgers with not even enough pork in them to make them disgusting. I was offended. So I decided to try it for 5 more days, but it was always the same thing. Snarl, sniff, move faster, gobble, gobble, smile, snarl, bam! And by this time, Columbus Avenue was strewn with hamburger rolls. and I was less offended than disgusted. And so, Peter, I decided to kill the dog. Don't be alarmed, I didn't succeed. The next day I went out and I bought only one hamburger and what I thought was a murderous portion of rat poison. When I ordered the hamburger, I told the man not to bother with the rolls. All I wanted was the meat. I expected some response like "We don't sell no hamburgers without the roll," or "What you gonna do, eat it out of your hands?" But no, he smiled benignly and wrapped it in the wax paper. "A bite for your pussycat?" I wanted to say, "No, actually, it's part of a plan I have to poison a dog I know." But you can't say a dog I know without sounding funny. So I said a little too loud, and I'm afraid a little too formally, "Yes, it is a bite for my pussy cat." People looked up. That's what always happens when I try to simplify things. People look up. But that's neither hither nor thither. So, on the way back to the rooming house, I kneaded the hamburger and the rat poison together between my hands, to the point of feeling almost as much sadness as disgust. When I got to the rooming house, there the monster was, waiting to take my offering and then jump me. Poor bastard. He never did realize that when he took to smile at me before he went for me, gave me enough time to get out of range. Well, there he was, malevolence with an erection, waiting. I placed the poison patty down and I moved towards the stairs to watch. The poor monster gobbled up the food as usual, and then he smiled, which almost made me sick. And then bam, he made for me. But I got up the stairs as usual, and the dog did not catch me as usual. And it came to pass that the beast became deathly ill. I knew this because he no longer attended me, and because the landlady had sobered up. She stopped me on the night of the attempted murder and confided in me that God had struck her puppy dog a surely fatal blow. She had forgotten her bewildered lust, and her eyes were wide open for the first time. They looked like the dog's eyes. Well, at any rate, she implored me and sniveled that I should pray for her animal. But I wanted to say, "But, Madame, I have myself to pray for, the Black Queen, the Puerto Rican family, the person in the front who I've never seen, the woman who cries with determination behind a closed door, and for all the rumors in all of the rooming houses everywhere. And besides, madam, I don't know how to pray." But to simplify things, I told her I would pray. She said I was a liar, and that I probably wanted her dog to die, and I told her, and there was so much truth. No, I didn't want her puppy dog to die. I really didn't. And not because I'd poisoned him. I'm afraid I'll have to tell you that I wanted the dog to live. Because I wanted to see what our relationship might come to. You must understand, Peter, this sort of thing is important. We must know the effects of our actions. It is important. Well, at any rate, the dog recovered his health, and I don't know how, unless he was a descendant of the puppy that guarded the gates of hell, or some such resort. I'm not up on my, mythology. Are you? Well, at any rate, Peter, you've missed the $8,000 question. The dog recovered his health, and the landlady recovered her thirst, which was in no way altered by the Bow Wow's deliverance. When I came home from a movie that was playing on 42nd Street, a movie which I had seen, or a movie which was like one or several that I'd seen, I was so hoping that the dog would be waiting for me. I was, enticed? Fascinated? No, that's not it. I was heart-shatteringly anxious. That's it. I was heart-shatteringly anxious to confront my puppy dog friend again. And yes, Peter, friend. I was heart-shatteringly, etc., to confront my puppy dog friend again. I opened the door and advanced unafraid to the center of the entrance hall. There the dog was. He looked at me, I looked at him. I think we stayed a long time that way, just staring still stone statue at one another. I could look longer into the dog's face than the dog could look into mine. What I mean to say is, I can concentrate longer looking into a dog's face than a dog can concentrate looking into mine, or into anybody else's for that matter. And for the 20 seconds or 2 hours that we looked into each other's eyes, we made contact. Now, this is what I wanted to have happen. I love the dog now, and I wanted him to love me. I had both tried to love and kill, and both had been unsuccessful by themselves. I don't know why I expected the dog to understand, much less my motivations, but I hoped that he would understand. It's just that if you can't deal with people, you've got to make a start somewhere. With animals. Don't you see? A person has to have a way of dealing with something, with a bed, with a cockroach, with a mirror. No, that's too hard. That's one of the last steps. With a cockroach, with a carpet, with a roll of toilet paper. No, that's a mirror. Always check for bleeding. Do you see how hard it is to find these things? With a street corner, with a wisp of smoke, with a pack of pornographic playing cards, with a strongbox, without a lock, with loving, with vomiting, with crying, with fury because the pretty little ladies aren't pretty little ladies anymore, with making money with your body, which is an act of love, and I can prove it, with howling because you're alive, with God. How about that one? With God, who is a colored queen, a black queen, who cries with determination behind a closed door, who plucks his eyebrows and wears a kimono. And with God, who I'm told turned his back on the whole thing some time ago. With people, with an idea, with a concept. Where ever better in this humiliating excuse for a jail? Where better to communicate one single, simple-minded idea than in an entrance hall, where it would be a beginning to understand and to possibly be understood, the beginning of an understanding, than in an entrance hall with a dog. Just that, a dog. It seemed like a perfectly simple idea to me. Man is a dog's best friend. Remember that. So, the dog and I looked into each other's eyes, I longer than the dog. And what I saw then has remained the same ever since. Whenever the dog and I see each other, we stop where we are, and we regard each other with a mixture of sadness and suspicion, and we feign indifference. We have an understanding. It's very sad, but you have to admit we have an understanding. The dog is returned to garbage, and I to solitary free passage. I have not returned. What I mean to say is I have gained solitary free passage, if that much further loss can be said to be gain. And what I have learned is that neither kindness nor cruelty, by themselves, independent of each other, creates an effect beyond themselves, and that the two of them combined together at the same time are the teaching emotion. And what is gained is lost. And what has been the result? The dog and I have obtained a compromise. More of a bargain, really. We try neither to love nor hurt, because we do not try to reach each other. And was the dog trying to bite me not an act of love? And was my trying to feed the dog not an act of love? Well, if we can so misunderstand, then why have we created the word love in the first place? The story of Jerry and the dog. The end.